Hi everyone. In this video I'll demonstrate using MIObdt to work with very large files based on the request on the left side of my screen. I need to get a subset of data for all non-dental MDs practicing in Columbus, Ohio from the current CMS Full Replacement Monthly NPI file available on the CMS download page. This file currently contains over 7 million records for registered individuals and organizations. As CMS notes, that's simply too big for Excel. Inside the downloaded zip file, you will see one file that stands out due to sheer size, about 8 gigabytes. This is the only file we need, so extract it from the zip file, open it with MIObdt, and let's get started. Press enough after a few seconds to start working with the structure of the file before having to scan the whole thing. As you can see, this is a very wide file with over 300 columns. In order to see what we've got more easily, let's look at the columns vertically in the column locator. Based on the header names, it looks like the data we've been asked to retrieve is in the first 40 columns. These include the NPI number, a person's first, middle, and last names, as well as the prefix, suffix, and credentials, and their location address components and phone numbers. That's still a lot of scrolling to do while we interact with the data, so let's make a view for only the columns we want to focus on while we work. We can do that quickly by pasting the text from our request into the column names editor of the View Configuration dialog, and then setting the column separator to a carriage return to parse them out. Since there are multiple name and address columns available in the file, let's just map the items we want manually to the new view. You can watch our video on creating a view if you need to, but it is a straightforward process of sending values from a data column into one of our view columns. Once that's done, a quick visual inspection shows appropriate data in the view except suffixes. They are usually less often used, so let's just find some records with data in that column and make sure it looks good too. Now we need to rescan the entire file so MIObdt knows where every record is, which may take a couple of minutes depending on the speed of your processor. Once that's done, it's time to start interactively filtering the data. Let's start with the city column. We know we're looking for Columbus, Ohio practitioners, so just type Columbus in the search bar. Now press Mark. The default search configuration will ignore case and look for any string containing Columbus in the highlighted column or subcolumns. Filter the marked records, and you can see that we've gone from over 7 million records down to under 40,000. Now, let's look for all states containing OH using the same technique. This should find both Ohio as a spelled-out name and its official abbreviation. Once we filter that marked selection, we're under 30,000 records. Since it's the individual providers we want and not the organizations, we can just find all the records where the legal last name value isn't blank. Now let's analyze the city and state columns to double-check their contents, since we used a substring search and they might contain unwanted values. Remove records containing Columbus Grove in the city column by marking those records, then invert and filter the selection. The state column looks good, but there are a couple of full state names. Let's standardize those with a simple table lookup column transformation. We'll simply convert Ohio to OH and pass through the actual OH values. I like to double-check my conversions after adding them, since the view is updated immediately. Now, we just have to find the MDs we're interested in in the credentials column. We can see in the first few records that we need some standardization to make filtering easier. Let's start by just trimming any white space and removing periods. We could look for any credentials containing an MD substring, but we can see right away we would pick up unwanted records like PharmD. So let's use a simple regular expression search instead and look only for MD words. Filter again, then analyze the column to see what we have left to work on. This looks really good. So let's just manually remove any records that also have dentistry credentials, like DDS and DMD, as well as the China and candidate credentials at my own discretion, with another mark, invert, and filter operation. All we have left to do now is export the filtered dataset. We'll export quoted, comma-delimited records with a header row using our column names, and only include the records we've filtered to. Just pick a file name and destination, export the file, then open it up in Excel before we send off the results. So the next time you find yourself struggling with a large file like this one, make sure you give MIObdt a try, and don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions.